I am going to just test out my new software quickly, and I thought the best way to do that is to just quickly share like a short thought on Facebook and YouTube, because this program is supposed to simultaneously share to those two platforms, and it's just something that's been on my mind lately. I don't know if you've ever thought about it, and this is basically a question to parents, especially parents with young kids who are still trying to make a future for their kids. And this is the question. I mean, have you ever wished you could give your child more? You ever like wondered, could I give my child a bigger house, a bigger room, more toys, more bucks, a better school? Things like that. Has that ever sunk into you? And what got me thinking about that is that we had a conversation with a lady close to our hearts that recently told us that at one point she was like running a creche or a pre-primary school story, a nursery school, wherever in the world you are, you'll probably have different words for that. And they used to have a Christmas party every year. And when they held this Christmas party, they would tell the parents in advance to please send gifts. So buy a gift for your kid and send the gift to school. And then when we have the Christmas party, each kid will receive their gift. And that obviously didn't last too long. And what was the breaking point was this. A mother contacted this teacher and said, look, I can't really afford to buy my child a present. I really cannot do it. And the teacher said, look, please just get something. I mean, just give something. And so the day arrived for this present giving story, and the one kid arrived there and got a big present, like a big box with wrapping paper and everything, and it was a big bicycle. And this big bicycle, that kid was obviously extremely happy about that. And then this kid whose mom said she can't afford any gift got a little gift. And when she opened it, it was a can of pilchards. Now, I don't know if you know what a can of pilchards is, but it's a can of fish, like in tomato sauce, I think it is. I mean, and when I heard this story, it was just shocking. You can understand why she stopped giving out presents, because not all the parents can afford the same types of gifts. And this mother was like probably sitting in a house thinking, what can I give my child? I think my child, what she really likes to eat is fish. And that's all I have in the house. So I'm going to take a can of fish. I'm going to give that. Maybe that's like a special treat to my child. And I mean, and so since then, she stopped obviously having these Christmas parties. Isn't it sad? Right? I mean, isn't it sad when we realize how blessed our kids are to have what they have, and we hear stories like that? We recently visited a family that's really going through a tough time, and we were sitting in their lounge, and my wife was looking into the kids' room, and she saw that the kids only had one blanket each, and it's in the winter. And we had a conversation with us as adults, and the mom said, yeah, the kids wake us up at night, they can climb into our beds, and they tell us they get cold and things like that. And then it struck me that these kids were getting cold because they didn't have enough blankets, and they would go climbing to their parents' bed because they get cold in their own beds. And long story short, but we tried to get them some blankets together, and through the donations of people, we managed to get them some of those. And you could see in their faces how happy they were for blankets, for crying in a bucket. My kids never get happy about blankets. It's sort of like a given. So there are parents who really struggle to just give their kids the basic necessities. I think it's true. All of us would agree that we want what's best for our kids, right? We want to give them the best. A few weekends ago, we went away for a weekend with friends to this, and they booked this beach house. It's this massive beach house. It's beautiful. It's just big rooms and just this view of the sea. You go out the gate, you're on the beach. It's just amazing. The swimming pool is it's like Lani, man. It's really cool. And the whole weekend through, my kids kept on saying things like, I want to come live here. Why do we live in such a small house? Over and over again, we arrive back at them. Oh, we're back at a small house, And then it sort of burns inside of you. You get this feeling, I wish I could give my kids that big house. And that made me think long and hard about this. What is this? What's the best thing that I could give my kids? And should I be working myself into a pulp to have more money to give them a big house? would that be something valuable to give to them? And I realized I might not be able to provide a big house and a fancy car, but I can help them grow a big heart. A big heart. And it's something that you can do right now. It's something that I can do right now. And I don't need money for it. And then, let's go think about it. What's more valuable? Your kid having a big heart or your kid living in a big house? Sometimes living in a big house doesn't mean you're going to have a big heart. Sometimes that makes your heart smaller, right? Who our children become is more important than what they have. And so the question then is how do we develop our children into having big hearts? In the first 6 years of life, don't know what age your kids are. My kids are below the age of 6, but in the first 6 years of life, your kids are like sponges. They hear every word you say, but they're not only influenced in through your words, but they're influenced through your demeanor and the aura that you carry and your attitude. They look at our faces and they pick up our frowns and they mimic that. They pick up more than what we think. They're feeding off us. They can sense the content of our hearts through our behavior, right? And so our hearts are transferred to our children. Isn't that crazy? So the first place we got to start is we got to look at our own hearts. When my child looks at me, does my child see a big heart? But also, we like paying for our children, but we don't like praying for them, or we don't pray enough for them. Certain things money can't buy, ladies and gentlemen. Things like character and integrity and love and humility and a successful future, money can't buy all of these things. Health. On his deathbed, this great man of the Bible, a man after God's own heart, David, he prayed for his son. In 1 Chronicles 29 verse 19, and listen to these words, just simple words. He said, "Give my son a good heart." And then he goes on with the prayer. But he starts off with, "Give my son a good heart, a complete heart, a perfect heart." Have you ever prayed that for your child? There's some other things that you could pray. Here's some of the things that I think are good to pray, like saying to God, "Lord, please teach my child to make others smile and let them feel warm." Or teach my child to totally miss it when people are ugly towards them, or when people treat them badly. Let them miss it, not even see it, because they're so used to just looking for good that they miss evil. Or teach my child to be generous and humble, right? When you go through I don't know if it happens to you, it happens to me the whole time. You go through McDonald's, you want to buy your child this Happy Meal from McDonald's, they're going to get a toy. Oh, they're excited. They love the big red M. And as you go through the drive-thru and you get to the other side, there's a beggar on the corner. As you want to take a bite in your burger, the beggar is looking at you. And you're thinking, that guy probably hasn't eaten for 2 days. I'm eating this because I just love it. I just want to eat it. I just feel like it. My belly is fat, but I want to eat it. And that guy's skinny. And you're like tempted. Oh my goodness, do I give up the burger? Imagine you could have your child could out of his own at the age of 5, open his window and say, "Daddy, I want to give my Happy Meal to that guy." Wow. If my child did that, he hasn't done that. But if he does that, my heart will burst in my chest and it will be the end of me. Or teach my child to serve. Teach my child to be happy even when he hurts. Right? Teach my child to care, not just for puppies. All kids care for puppies, but to care for people, to care for hurting people, to care for poor people. I think our kids deserve more prayer. And if you're not used to doing that, to doing the prayer thing for your kid, I want to challenge you to try it and just see. You will be surprised. You'll be surprised what the God of heaven will do with your child. Promise you that. So I thought I'll just share that with you. Let me just use this opportunity as well to just invite you to my podcast on Thursday evening at 9 p.m. It's going to be a live podcast here on Facebook, and it will also be on YouTube if this video works. And this is what it's going to be about. It's like, I don't know if you've ever heard like people say, "Well, let God come down from heaven and show himself to me, and then I'll believe that he exists." Have you ever heard that? Don't know. Or, people have said, like the Holocaust, 6 million people died. Why didn't God come down with 10 million angels and just take out Hitler and his forces? Why didn't he do that? I'm going to answer that question, which I think is an important question. The other issue that I'm just going to deal with briefly is this. When people say, well, I experience God, I hear him, I feel him, etc., etc. Is that evidence that God exists, or are people hallucinating? Is it valid to say, I experience God? And is that a valid reason to say that God exists? Anyways, please join me for that. But key is this. Pray for your kids and have a super evening. Bye-bye.